NFR Extra follows all your favorite cowboys, interviews legends of rodeo, and talks to the best of country music. Follow Nevada Caldwell, Ryland Bentley, and Steve Godert every week as they delve deep into the stories behind the road to gold in Vegas at the National Finals Rodeo. It's revealing, comedic, and sometimes emotional. Find it on Spotify or anywhere you listen to podcasts. NFR Extra. All dirt, all rodeo, all year.
Shawn said, well, if you can do that, you can probably get a job at the NFR. And I said, well, don't offer something you aren't willing to set up and make happen. And with that, my first year at the rodeo was 2000.
NFR Extra, episode 89. He doesn't wear the cowboy hat or the boots, but don't let that fool you. Next to Shawn Davis, no one knows more about NFR production than Allen Rheinheimer. In 2000, after working with Allen at the FEI World Cup Jumping Finals, which Las Vegas Events produced, Shawn Davis recruited him to join the production team at NFR. Since then, he has been a fixture backstage, working in and around every piece of production, and now he is the boss.
Remember the movie Outbreak is what it was. Outbreak. Yes. The little outbreak monkey. And it was like, oh my God, it's airborne. And it was like zombies everywhere and people are dying. It was like, that's kind of what they planted in our brains. And so could you imagine going to Thomas and Mack? We're going to any place in the world where people are gathered together and it's like, dead. It's like, what are we doing, guys?
Outbreak?
Yeah. Outbreak, dude. Little outbreak.
Can monkey. I assume that this was before my time and it might make me feel better?
You weren't, you weren't even.
Because my head went to like Zombieland where everyone like got infected and then they had to find the last Twinkie. So
that was a good film though too.
Yeah. We were getting.
Can we get some Twinkies in the office during NFR?
Yeah, you can fry them too. I don't even know if you can buy them anymore. Didn't that company, or I don't know.
Hostess, yeah, right?
They still have them. They might not be the same recipe or factory, but they still exist. Nobody can get rid of Twinkies. They last forever. That was the whole thing. You ever had fried Oreos?
Yeah, delicious. Absolutely delicious.
Heart hurts just hearing those words.
At Houston Rodeo had them, one of those little carts.
Yeah.
Fried.
So, had to be junior high finals. I think we were in Gallup, New Mexico that year. Was the first time I had fried Oreos. And let me tell you, my brother is an Oreo addict. If there are Oreos in the pantry, there will not be by the time he sees the package and you get back to the pantry, because he would eat like 2 to 3 rows, like the whole case of cookies. That's who he was. Well, we used to go, we went to junior high finals, then Little Britches, and then high school finals. That's typically how it would lay out. Oh my gosh, for like 4 weeks straight, that's what my brother would have for lunch, breakfast, and dinner.
Give me a glass of milk and a stack of Oreos. My little chubby ass back in the day when I was a little, dude, I'd be dipping.
I'm not even an Oreo fan.
I gained 5 pounds just off this conversation.
What else is this random fair foods? Funnel cakes?
Chocolate dipped bacon.
Yeah, I've had that. That is so good, man.
I haven't had that. I thought you were going to say like a chocolate covered banana, like the frozen ones with like the peanuts on it. My mom likes those.
Chocolate bacon is fantastic. I've had that is so not good for you, but so
Have
good.
you had Tabasco chocolate? I've had that. No chocolate bacon though.
It doesn't.
No. And in Orange County, California, we used to do a little rodeo showdeo down there. And that's like the biggest fair. I mean, there's like 75,000 people a day that roll through there or something. But their food courts are unbelievable. So there's this guy that had Texas donuts. And these things are 14 inches across, right? I mean, they're 5 inches tall. It's a big donut. I mean, it's a donut with a hole, right? Ice cream, maple syrup, bacon all over it, caramel sauce. Right? If you eat a quarter of that, defibrillators on standby. Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're losing a leg.
Don't get your blood checked over the next, month.
No.
But wait, let's think about the fact that this family, in order to create this recipe masterpiece, you know that they all sat down and had so many different versions of this one donut, ice cream, bacon, maple syrup, caramel.
Yeah, you got to sample everything, right? You got to, does that work? Does this not work? That good?
Quality assurance, man.
Enjoy our conversation with General Manager of the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, Allen Rheinheimer. Listen to the end for Last Call with Steve and his good buddy, NFR announcer Andy Seiler. And up next, Bryland's Bull.
This is Bryland's Bull, the rodeo news of the week.
Extreme Bulls Tour finale moving to Pendleton, Oregon. The best professional bull riders in pro rodeo are heading to one of the best settings in rodeo for the Extreme Bulls Tour finale presented by Banner Bank. The event that crowns the Extreme Bull Tour's champion will take place during the Pendleton Roundup in September this year. Brett Young hits the top spot this week on Billboard's Country Airplay chart with Lady, marking his 7th consecutive trip to the chart's pinnacle. Young recently revealed that he and his wife Taylor are expecting another baby girl. Caesars Palace Las Vegas will soon offer a next-level sports viewing experience via the debut of a 2,186 square foot Stadia bar and lounge, complete with a large number of high-definition televisions in order to give patrons the ability to casually hang out or catch the big game in style. The addition will feature an elevated bar serving an array of unique curated selections and an impressive list of highly allocated Supreme spirits, such as the sought-after Kentucky Owl 10-year rye and Elmer T. Lee 100-year tribute whiskeys. The road to the NFR World Standing leaders are bareback rider Tilden Hooper, steer wrestling Jacob Talley, team roping header Eric Rogers and Peyton Bray, saddle bronc rider Wright, tie down Shane Hantke, barrel racing Tiani Schuster, bull riding Colton Fritzland, and in the all-around is Stetson Wright. There's only one NFR, there's only one Vegas.
We're back, and we don't want you to miss anything. Make NFRExperience.com your link to hear it first. You will get info on NFR events, Vegas concerts, insider tips, and more, all directly to your inbox. Just go to NFRExperience.com, verify your email address, and pick the experiences you want to hear more about. And new this year, we will send you customized announcements and special offers directly to your mobile number now and throughout the NFR. Check out NFRExperience.com for details.
Hello, everyone. This is Hunter Cure, two-time world champion steer wrestler, and I'm here on the NFR Extra podcast.
During his career, Allen Rheinheimer has overseen all elements of equestrian and livestock production, including many aspects of the Wrangler NFR and FEI World Cup jumping and dressage finals. Allen has brought his knowledge and expertise to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo since 2000. PRCA CEO George Taylor said, "We look forward to working with Allen to further showcase our world-class athletes and stock as he leads one of our nation's premier sporting events into the future." Having grown up on Cedar Crest Farm in Indiana, which produced both top show horses and beef cattle, Rheinheimer is a dedicated professional fully entrenched in event production in various environments. Allen Rheinheimer, welcome to NFR Extra, sir.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm excited.
Hey, Allen, take us through the 2-minute Allen Rheinheimer pitch of where you grew up in Indiana. I think it was a farm, right? Is that where you?
Yeah, we grew up in Indiana, just north of Indianapolis, in a little town called Noblesville. And back then we called it Nobletucky because it was a small little town. Now you wouldn't recognize it. It's just grown out. And we had a farm there, and my dad was a blacksmith, and he came from northern Indiana. And he was a demanding father. He expected you to do anything you could set your mind to, and you could accomplish it. But make sure you leave nothing on the table when you do whatever you do. Make sure you put your full effort to it. So growing up in that environment on a horse farm, we had cattle. I spent the summers in Wisconsin with my grandfather at a dairy farm. So we grew up around livestock. And I always say that, growing up in that environment is fantastic for kids to learn responsibility and to learn, the horses don't take a day off. You have to be there every day. You have to, have to plan for everything every day. Then when I went to high school there in Noblesville, and then went to college in Colorado for a year. I only went to school for a year, but then dropped out. My parents got divorced, so it kind of messed me up there a little bit. Got back on track, and I've been with my wife since '87, like I said. And we started in Chicago, got married in Chicago, and moved down to Indianapolis in '95, and I worked for the Indianapolis Colts. I was a project manager for the Indianapolis Colts, and we built a farm there for them. And that's also another part of my business that started with Showtime. We started doing concept designs for facilities and farms, and so we do that as a side business as well. But yeah, growing up in Indiana has been we really like that area. I live 20 minutes from my family farm now, which is all houses, by the way. It's all developed into, houses are overtaken everywhere. I don't know where.
Gosh, dang it.
I don't know. And we just sold a piece of property last year that is, we had 50 acres, and then we sold some a few years ago, and then we came back, and there's 120 homes next to it now. So we just had to get out. We couldn't get our truck and trailer out of the driveway anymore. It was so busy. So things are moving out. So, but yeah, my growing up in Indiana, we were hands-on. We did everything. We did, my father built his barn back then. We were kids building. We were pounding nails at age 10, and packing things around. And he didn't believe in hiring anybody, so he had 6 kids, and that's what his labor force was. So we worked every day in the barn.
Yeah, child labor. That's a great deal.
Yeah, exactly.
In those circumstances, obviously.
Today it'd be a little different, but
yeah,
it showed us a lot of responsibility and a lot of work ethic and everything. So I think I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my kids are going through that now. That same era. So,
little did you know, working with the Colts was like some foreshadowing for your future there with the Indianapolis Colts football team. That's
it was kind of I was there for a year, then Bob Irsay passed away, and they shut that division down. But it was quite an experience.
Good things going down for yourself and for us and for Las Vegas. You've been a part of the NFR for forever, and I don't want to get into the years and things like that, but you've been a big part of behind the scenes. How did you come to work for the NFR, Allen?
Well, it was back in 2000. They had the Las Vegas World Cup Finals for show jumping in Vegas, and I volunteered for Robert Ridlin. And it's kind of an interesting tale. When I got there, I got put into a lot of places that I wasn't expecting to do, but we managed the World Cup Finals, and I got to meet with Shawn Davis and work with Shawn that year. And we did a couple of things there that were kind of openings that we worked with livestock, and Shawn didn't have anybody to help him work the gates to let the livestock in and out. And I said, I'll help you. I got no problem with that. And so I went down and helped with the rehearsals and helped with the livestock. And Shawn said, well, if you can do that, you can probably get a job at the NFR. And I said, well, don't offer something you aren't willing to set up and make happen. And with that, my first year at the rodeo was 2000. I worked with Danzy Price.
Wow, 21 years ago. You are no stranger to producing equestrian events. The company you represent and all the other things that you've been a part of. Tell us a little bit more, and I want to make sure it is Showtime Jumping Company, right? That's the group that you...
Yeah, Showtime Jump Company, correct.
Yeah, what's that all about?
Showtime Jump Company started back in 87 with my wife. Actually, she sold her horse, so we had the money to help start the company. So I kind of put her out of a horse and put me into business. And we rented equipment to horse shows. That was our business when we first started. We started, like I said, back in 87, the year that we got married. So I've been married to Kathy since 87. Our first horse show that we did was Estes Park, Colorado, at the fairgrounds there in the rodeo arena. Rodeo has kind of been a part of my business ever since, doing that, different events, fairgrounds and stuff that we produce. Showtime's now evolved into a production company that we produce horse shows across the country. We do a lot of horse shows with the Classic Company. One of the biggest shows we do is the Hampton Classic Horse Show is in the Hamptons, and we supply equipment, staff, just like a rodeo, similar to the rodeo that we produce. And the difference there is most of our stuff is outdoors that we produce. A lot of temporary tents, stalls, everything is. So Showtime Jump Company saw a need that we fulfilled with any equipment you could need at a horse show. We fulfilled it. We did a horse show at Biltmore Estate for years, right at the back of the house on the river. We had 1,400 horses there, all in temporary stalls, all in temporary rings. We'd come in a week before, set it all up. The only thing on the grounds was a 2-inch water hydrant that we supplied. Everything else was off of generators, and because we were in a floodplain. And that went on for about 7 years until we got flooded out and lost enough money that we decided to hang our hat up on that one. But it was a beautiful, beautiful show. One of my favorite events we did. With that outdoor event, we have weather to deal with all the time. And most of our stuff, like I said, is temporary. So I've taken down horse shows. I've set up horse shows, taken them down because of hurricanes out on Long Island, Charleston, South Carolina. Bertha was a big hurricane that we had to take down the complete facility and set it all back up 3 days later when the hurricane came through. So we've been through a lot of stuff over the years. And again, Showtime Jump Company has been the backbone of that for us to supply all that equipment and supply staffing and management for shows across the country. And we do the horse shows down in Washington, D.C., downtown. We've done the National Horse Show on Pier 92 in New York, right on the water. We built a ring on top of the pier. So there's been a lot of things that we've done over the years. And again, Showtime's been the backbone of that.
Little did you know you were going to get married to two different situations, right? The horse world of equestrian and rodeo and everything else comes with that. And you're a wonderful wife, man. That's awesome, Allen.
Yeah, it's been a great ride, as you'd say, across the years. We have 5 beautiful children, 2 in college. One's at Purdue. He's working to get into vet program, and actually my daughter's a senior, but she's committed to DePaul to play softball. So, and I have 3 younger kids that are freshmen, all in high school. So we got a long way to go. I got to keep working.
Kind of your expertise here, but it sounds like almost you've lived pretty much the inside and outs of the horse event business, from trial, error, and this doesn't work, and how do I make this work? And I mean, you get accustomed to that after a while. It's almost like a skill set that a lot of people don't. I don't think they understand how important that is when you can build events where there's nothing to offer to you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the companies that we do shows for and that we produce shows for are from the ground up. Like I said, we do a lot of events at fairgrounds and not permanent places, but they'll have some permanent structures here and there. And the other part of our company too is we install arenas across the country. Different places, any kind of arena you want, we can install that. And we got into that business because we got to these places and the ground was not correct and they didn't have the equipment to work it properly. And so that's just another piece of Showtime Jump Company. We started doing arena work, and we had the equipment, so we stepped out and we started doing other jobs, personal people and horse show venues and across the country. And so we've got all the equipment to do anything we need to from the ground up. Like you said, you can go into a vacant spot and put on an event.
You are listening to NFR Extra with our guest, Allen Rheinheimer. Let's take a quick break.
In Las Vegas, December becomes Cowboy Town. The Wrangler National Finals Rodeo is the prize for the top contestants in the world seeking a share of the $10 million purse and the coveted gold buckle. For the fans, Las Vegas transforms into the greatest Western party in the world with the NFR Experience featuring Cowboy Christmas, the Junior World Finals, non-stop entertainment, custom viewing parties, and so much more. Follow all the action at NFRExperience.com. There is only one NFR. There is only one Vegas.
Hey y'all, I am singer-songwriter Ashlyn Craft, and you are listening to the NFR Extra.
NFR Extra with General Manager of the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, Allen Rheinheimer.
Rodeo and dressage and jumping. Yeah, jump in, pun intended. What is the difference in the footing that you deal with, just comparing rodeo and dressage?
Well, it's all different. Everybody likes a different surface. Everybody likes a different. The jumping has now gone to mostly a synthetic sand mixture. A lot of drainage work goes into it. There's a tremendous amount of expense to it, but the horses are getting more expensive. The people are passionate about their event. They want to keep everything as good as they can. So the venues and the people have stepped up to create that across the country. We still deal with a few shows that have arena dirt in them, like that are all-purpose facilities, and it's a little tougher to work with those with the show jumping. But we managed to either bring in materials and change the material that's there, or add to it to enhance it so it works for the discipline that's what we're working with. As far as the rodeo footing goes, I've been involved with the NFR now since 2000 and kind of watched it evolve up through. And there's a lot of things that I've learned over the years from the different people. And rodeo footing is just as important as the show jumping. I mean, everybody's passionate about it. You got the barrel racers, you've got the timed event, just make sure the dirt works so they can slide and not get stuck in it. There's just tremendous amount of different variations in the arena that you have to work with. But as far as the complexity of the materials, it's totally different. Dressage will work on the synthetic footing. They like it a little deeper, a little more cushion. The show jumping like it firm, and rodeo has to hold up and make sure that bucking horses don't slip and nobody slips in the arena, and then the barrel racers can get into it and make sure that they can get around the barrels as quickly and as easy and not be affected or slip by anything. So there's a lot of stuff that goes there. It's becoming more of a science across it. We now take temperatures and moisture readings throughout the arena. Back in 2019, we did 13 moisture readings and temperature readings 5 times a day in the Thomas and Mack Arena. And we did the same thing in Texas with Randy Spraggins. We started taking temperature readings and moisture readings. And once you get to that point where it works well, that's where we like to keep it. And adjusting it throughout the day because of the humidity and adjusting that because of the wind effect in the arena, it all varies so much. Trying to find that happy medium is what we try to do.
So what does the dirt need to be? Medium rare, medium well? What's the good temp for the dirt?
Well, it depends on actually the moisture in the air and the building and the temperature outside. I mean, it all plays factors into it. So it could change from morning to afternoon. That's why we took the temps all day long, so we could make sure that we understood where we were at during the competition. That was fair for everybody from the start, beginning to the end.
Is it more advantageous with the desert landscape or when you're in a kind of let's just say a stickier area like up northwest?
Yeah, well, obviously you can always add water. You can't take it out. So the drier the climate, the better it is to work with, and you can always adjust it easier in the drier. And again, if the climate's too dry, then it takes a tremendous amount of more to keep it right. So it varies all the way across the country. I mean, even in the show jumping arenas, how much water you put down in the South is different than what you put down in New York. And then it's different times of the year, the moisture in the air, everything. There's so many variables to it.
I kind of been looking at this, and this has been something that you said that sounds, and maybe this is just me wearing my tin hat, but it seems like you're a man that works well through adverse times, literally building a company from the ground up in 87. And then you say starting off with the NFR in 2000. We'll look at the benchmark, and Brylan, happened, I think, before you were born. That was 9 months before 9/11. And so that brought an entire different dynamic to traveling, to groups coming together. Not the same, but I guess similar in the sense that there is a precautionary awareness that people have after what we're 14, 15 months into a pandemic and still trying to figure that out. So all of these things that that you've been through and have succeeded through. Also on the general manager position for the NFR, it's kind of an interesting time for you to come in of, we went from Shawn Davis, Boyd Polhamus, Glenn Allen Phillips within a matter of a few years. So here you come into this position, and I know that there's going to be some questions of, the show jumping side, but the rodeo side, I don't think that people are fully aware of how involved you were for the NFR so long. But what are some of the major differences that you see between producing rodeo events and jumping horse events? Well,
I think that the main things that I see on the front is the different disciplines that are at, we deal with one discipline. We're hunter and jumper discipline. So we can control what we have throughout the day. At the rodeo, you're dealing with different disciplines. You got the bucking stock, you got the timed event, you got there's so many things that go into in much more into the rodeo. You have the openings, you have the personalities for the anthems. You have tremendous amount of organizations to do for the rodeo that you don't do for an outdoor venue that we do. We don't have, but working with Shawn over the years and I've learned so much being in the background and working from the ground up. I mean, my first job at the NFR literally was raking the barrels after the barrel racers. So I had 15-second day job. So I had a lot of time on my hands, and I got to know a lot of people, a lot of things, working with Danzy Price and the construction part of it. But producing the rodeo is a lot of different challenges, but a lot of the same too. I think that they can coexist with what I do as manager for both. And it's the Super Bowl of rodeos though, so it's fantastic to be working with Las Vegas events and working in Thomas and Mack and striving to be in Vegas. I think it's no other town in the country can put on a show like Vegas. I'm excited to be a part of it and be at the helm.
This is NFR Extra, and our guest today, Allen Rheinheimer. We will return after the break. NFR Extra follows cowboys, talks to legends and country stars, and finds the stories that make up the season that leads to the annual showdown in December. Follow me, Nevada Caldwell, Brylan Bentley, and Steve Goddard as we delve deep into the stories in and behind the road to gold. Listen to NFR Extra on Rural Radio, channel 147 on Sirius XM, every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, with a re-air Tuesday in the same time slot. NFR Extra, all dirt, all rodeo, all year.
Hello everyone, this is Benji Bendeley, Wrangler National Finals Rodeo Music Director, and this is NFR Extra.
The Wrangler National Finals Rodeo General Manager, Allen Rheinheimer, is here on NFR Extra. Going back to Steve's talking about this whole 20-year time frame you've been here and all the adversity prior to that. Explain a little bit like what has happened to the Thomas Mack during your time frame, because you've had the tunnels built, you've had all these things that have added and molded to the rodeo. How has that helped as you've seen, and now you get to utilize these, the new alleyways and all the things that have been constructed, probably more for the rodeo than anything else at Thomas Mack?
Yeah, I think that the evolution of the Thomas Mack, I'll say, has been incredible over the years. Watching it coming from a one-tunnel arena to a two-tunnel arena opened up a tremendous amount of doors to be able to widen the arena, to make it a lot better for the competitors on the floor. Then the big renovation they did in, I think it was 2015, it was a lot of stuff going on. We changed a lot of stuff in the arena and changed a lot of stuff as far as setup with prefert and everything, because, you got new pillars where there weren't pillars before. You got new alleyways that weren't there. So it's opened up the door for us quite a bit to be able to do more and be more comfortable setup. And working with the Thomas and Mack, they're a great group of people that never say no to you. They always try to do what they can and make it as easy on you as possible. And it's just a great group of people to work with. The evolution going from the days of Matt Ewing and all the way through, and now Mike Newcomb and Kevin Coburn and Todd and everybody. They're just a great group of people to work with. And then also with the two-tunnel system, the tear down and the setup and the tear down are much easier. We have more access points. We have more. So the whole process has changed over the years, but in the last few years that I've been involved, it's gone quite smoothly.
You talk about the production, and it seems like there's so many working parts. And being the general manager of the NFR, how is that? I mean, how many people do you have in charge of different deals? I mean, talk a little bit about the organization of the NFR and the production side of that.
Well, we have the NFRC, the Las Vegas events, and then we work down through the department heads from that point on. You got John Barnes that always is taking care of the livestock and the livestock superintendent, and Rob Hart with the security. There's a tremendous amount of people that are involved. I've always felt that you're only as good as your weakest link in a chain. So get good people around you, let them do their job. Hold them accountable for their job, and then also give them the tools to make it to where they can do their job successfully. I think that like David Pickering over the years has been a great. When I took over, I can't remember what year it was when I took over the construction maintenance part of it. It was 30 days before the rodeo when Shawn called me and asked me to set up the arena. Of course, I said yes. I wasn't going to say no. So I said yes. And then I got busy for the next 30 days putting everything together and putting everything on CAD so I could understand it and do everything. David Pickering was one of the first people that said yes, he would come back and work. And he's been with me there ever since. So I think it's just a great group of people. And there's, going through the budget and going through the staff and everything right now, it's a tremendous amount of people to be responsible for and to coordinate. So having good people in those departments are very key.
You have an extensive amount of expertise with essentially doing the same thing for the horse jumping side of it as well, for managing, getting everything organized, orchestrated, set up. So it's kind of right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, it's managing people. It's managing, situations that happen. I was at a horse show one time in Chicago, just to give you a quick background, and a guy came up to me and he asked me if I would come to work for him. I said, well, what do you do? And he goes, I run a chemical factory, and we make 360 different products. And I said, well, I know nothing about chemicals. And he goes, I don't want you to know anything about chemicals. He said, I have chemists for that. He says, I need you to manage the people. I need you to manage the warehouse. I need you to manage the shipping and receiving. So I did. I took a year off and I went to work for him, and Hydrox Chemical. And it was different. It was eye-opening for me having a 9-to-5 job back in 92, 93. So it was different, but I took on the challenge, and I always like different challenges. And, with this challenge is going to be more than I can hope for. I think it's just fantastic to be in this situation and working my way up through, like I said, raking the barrels in 15 seconds a day and doing this. I don't think I'll have 15 seconds a day to think of myself for anything now.
I want to backtrack a little bit to you mentioning busy 30 days before you were told that you had to take over this position. But last year you were told, I believe it was a little less than 90 days, we were going to take this whole event to Texas. Can you highlight a little bit of what you guys had to oversee?
Well, that last year was an anomaly that I think it's a year that we all want to remember, we all want to forget. We don't want to go through it again. So it was tough for everybody. I understand the reason for moving it to Texas and the lateness of doing it, and with the COVID and everything going on, it was a tough time for the PRCA and everything to make that decision to move it there. It was a big risk going into a new facility, a new building with all the unknowns, and the livestock housing being on a grass field. There were a tremendous amount of things that were at risk there, and I think that putting that together, I focused my energy on the livestock area because I got into it late. I wasn't hired, but less than 90 days. It was like 40 days into it, and so I focused my attention on the livestock, is what they, the housing and everything, and helping David on the arena setup and the signage and everything. So it was quite an experience, I got to say. But there's a good core group of people that put that together, and it's a good group of people that worked together for years. And the PRCA brought in great people that did what they had to do. And that the venue is. It was a little tough for everything, the livestock transportation back and forth, but it all worked out well. I think it all went well. But I think that Texas has a lot of rodeos, a lot of cowboys, a lot of things going on. But there's no place like Las Vegas that can hold the NFR to the standard that it needs to be, and the excitement level and all the fans and everything. I think they had a tremendous amount of fans still in Vegas during the rodeo, watching the rodeo last year. So there were a great deal of challenges at the last minute there. We were lucky with the weather. The weather cooperated until the last day and tear down. Then we got a tremendous amount of rain, and loading out the livestock. They were up to their knees in mud, and we were up to our ankle. Up everything was sinking. We couldn't drive across the field. The tents were coming down in the mud, and it was just a mess to clean up. But luckily, the weather held out for us throughout the event. So,
hey, Allen, who were any of your key guys that you have? Now at your disposal, right hand, left hand guys, womans, whoever it is, were they with you in Texas? Will be here for this year for 2020 Vegas and in the past?
Absolutely, they're all back. I think it's a great group of people. We've worked together for several years, with David Pickering and his crew, the signage crew, and Kyle, and there are a few people that weren't in Texas because of COVID and different things. Hopefully, everybody will be back in swing. But I've been on the phone now for 2 weeks now, constantly, and just getting updates and conference calls and working through and making sure that we have everybody back. And I'm excited to have everybody back. Everybody said yes, and I think that. It's been a good relief for them too to know that the direction it's going.
Yeah. Well, when I look at the days, instead of like you said, you had 40 days last year and then 30 days to oversee things. As I'm looking at I'll just drop some sponsorship in here, but the Lucas Oil Countdown, you got 253 days until go time, Allen. So got some time, not much, but you got time.
We're 250 days short too. I mean, we have a lot of work to do in 250 days. So there were a lot of things in the works. Absolutely, it's never enough time. It's never enough time because you want to produce the best events you can possibly produce. You want to have the best fan experience you can have. You want to have the best contestant experience they can have. It's a lot of work. 250 days doesn't seem like enough to me. So we're behind the 8 ball already.
And I don't think people realize that NFR is actually a 365 days a year project. It's not just 10 days a year.
Absolutely. It's a year-round endeavor. I mean, no way you could produce an event like that in, the timing of, the 10 days that are there. You can't walk in. It's not a turnkey facility. It's not a turnkey operation. There's a lot of elements that go into it.
Last break before wrapping up our conversation with Allen Rheinheimer.
Welcome to NFR 360, where the NFR experience comes to life. This portal transports you to an immersive visual experience, encapsulating the stories and history of the NFR experience. NFR 360 is a collection of newly produced and historical digital content filled with stories about current and legendary contestants, the inside scoop on all the elements of how you experience the National Finals Rodeo, and inside tips that will improve your experience during the NFR 365 days a year.
Kobe Lovell, world champion team roper, joining y'all on NFR Extra.
Allen Rheinheimer is here on NFR Extra.
I think what is kind of neat is to go back to what we've talked about before, is that you have been from opening gates to raking barrels to all of that, to where when you're part of the production, you see everything that's going on and you have to be on key and on point. So with the 20 years that you've been involved, you've seen these openings, you've seen these things, you've seen all this. So it's like, I guess if, somebody that doesn't have that experience says, well, let's try this, and they weren't there for all those years, like, we've tried that, it didn't work. So you've got, I think, a different perspective of everything else. And, it's kind of seeing something, well, I've been at this one spot and I've seen the whole thing from here. It's like, you've been down on the floor, you've been in the back, you've been up top, you've been working with Shawn, you've been all over the whole entire thing. So I think that that's going to be something very interesting, because coming back to Vegas, I mean, God bless Texas. They did allow an opportunity for last year's NFR to take place. This year, man, we got to show them that Vegas is home.
Vegas is home. I think, and again, I don't want to take anything away from Texas. It was different time, a different thing, and it went off well. But I think it's a different format. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different. I mean, there's nothing like the excitement in that Thomas and Mack Arena when you have a good ride, you have a good run. I mean, the closeness of the crowd, the intimacy of the arena. I think I talked to a lot of riders. I talked to a lot of stock contractors. Some of the stock contractors said the stock bucked better there. I think a lot of people miss the intimacy of Vegas and the excitement that Vegas brings to it. And then going back to working from behind the scenes, I have seen everything. I've seen, I wandered around in a rodeo throughout the rodeo for years, understanding everybody's job, from the saddle horse boss to the feed deliveries in the back, to the contestants, to the stall, housing the calves, I've gotten to be involved with all that. So it's been kind of an eye-opening for me. And then to understand those positions, understand what they need, understand what their challenges are. I think I have a great perspective of that for all aspects of the production of the rodeo. So it's a good fit with the group that are coming back to the rodeo, and a good group, and we all work well together. When we first got involved, it was a lot of finger pointing. That's not my job. That's your job. That and I need the arena from this time forward. Well, we got away. We got rid of all that. We all work together. We're all here for the same purpose. We're all here to produce the best rodeo that we can, and produce the Super Bowl of rodeos, and to give everybody the best experience that we can give them, and be fair to everybody. So I think that I'm excited about that, understanding those jobs, understanding when people come to me about difficult situations that happen, I have the background to make good decisions and to rectify things that need to be fixed. So I do know I didn't announce. I didn't do that. When Boyd took over the announcement job, one of his things was this: I'm just a small piece of this rodeo. He said, I had no idea all the stuff that goes on in the back. Well, there's a lot to that. There's a lot of the outside that you don't see. And Boyd did a fantastic job. He did a great job working through everything. But I think that understanding it from the ground up, literally from the ground up, how the arena goes in to how the livestock goes in, how the livestock's sorted, how the livestock, all the entities that go to the rodeo. I've got a pretty good perspective about everything. Just the little simple things that make it safe for the contestants and the livestock, down to the dirt being correct. So I feel I have a great perspective of that.
Over 21 years, you have seen and experienced a lot, obviously, with the Thomas and Mack. Is there a moment that impacted you, a memory, like a favorite moment, maybe, that just, when you think of Thomas and Mack, that comes to mind?
Well, I think that it's been a great ride for 21 years. I got to tell you, I've really enjoyed everything about the experience I've had with Shawn and everybody throughout the years. To pick one moment, I got to say there's so many. It's really been an eye-opening and treasure to me to be involved with the NFR. There's a lot of people in our industry that come to the NFR that enjoy it as well. There's a lot of talk about it in our industry. You're going to the NFR, that's their goal as well, to go to the NFR. So I think that to pick one thing, I truly can't, because it's been great throughout the whole. I think my brother passed away in 2017, December 1st, which was it was a hard time. But leaving the rodeo, then coming back to the rodeo for the event, that was kind of a memorable time for me to be there during that time frame. But I think that it's just I've enjoyed every step of it. I've enjoyed it, and the challenges, and pick one moment, it's hard.
Cool part, even though there's no cool part about losing a loved one. But when you go to that rodeo and you're part of that team, you're able to dive in. And I would imagine, when that happened to you, you were able to go into that team, that family that exists there at Thomas Mack Center. I mean, I would imagine that helped out a lot, kind of just to feel normal, I guess, if you will, when you're dealing with grieving or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody was fantastic to me when I came back and understood everything, and it was a tough time, but I said, like you said, it's pretty much a family there now. The staff at Thomas and Mack throughout the Las Vegas events, it's working with them over the years for the World Cup finals and for this, it's really become a tight group of people. And I think it's a good group of people that work together. But everybody was fantastic to me.
Well, Allen, thank you for taking the time to come on. Looking forward to you, man, running the rodeo and being a part of this team and growing things from out of this pandemic and everything else that we're dealing with. And Vegas has got a lot to offer on top of just the arena and the competition. I mean, there's a lot going on around in our town, a lot of new casinos popping up. So it's just going to be a benefit for everybody. But thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story with us.
Well, I appreciate it. And anytime, my door is always open. And if anybody has any questions or anything, I'm here. I'm not hard to get a hold of.
We'll bring you back. Listen, you're going to have to come back on, because you're going to have to tell us about what's going down, I don't know, maybe later summer, somewhere what to look forward to, I guess, at that time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
All right, Desperados, last call.
I haven't been this excited for 21 since I myself was 20, because all of this just...
It is last call. The only problem is we're sober.
Exactly. Let's do this.
All right.
All right, friends, this is Steve Godert. Joining me right now, my good buddy, Andy Seiler. What's shaking, my man?
All right, so this is going to be awkward. I'm just going to say
my eyes are crossed.
Well, that's a perfect lead-in to what we're fixing to talk about.
I can't wait.
Who is cooler, me or Steve? Okay, so let me just lay a few of these things out. First off, Steve is one of the few people that I know that could help me get a rifle from Montana to the state of Florida. When everything went down with COVID, there were no guns to be had in this area. So Steve was actually cool enough to be able to find a rifle in Florida, have it shipped down here legally. I was able to purchase it at a gun shop. And so now I have a rifle that I was looking for, courtesy of my buddy Steve. Secondly,
we're going in rows. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, you're rapid fire slow. So I'm just going to, I guess you ease the clutch out like a tractor. So I'm going to just keep easing.
Yeah.
Secondly, Steve is a Marine, and I think that is really, really cool. You can't say former Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. I think that is really, really cool. Thirdly, Steve is getting ready to do a world championship livestock auctioneering competition this summer in June. And that to me is really, really cool, because if he doesn't win the world championship this year, which I think he will, he is going to be a world champion. And when you get to that level in anything, I don't care what you're doing, world champion just carries weight. I don't care if you got boxing gloves, you got a gold buckle around your waist. When you get to that level, even in contention, which you're going to be a world champ. But even when you're in contention, in my mind, your saw has to be so sharp that you just start doing things on another level. And that to me is pretty cool, because you have inspired other people, not just myself, to continue to sharpen their saw and try and master their craft as you've done with your own.
sharpening your saw and mastering your craft. That sounds like something you should do when you're not on a podcast. As far as coolness, my man, for those of you that don't know, Andy Seiler wore a tuxedo and wore a Rolex. Performance number 1 of the 2020 Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. So I'd say that that's pretty snazzy. Going to the gun side of it, anybody that wants you to buy a gun, I'd say it's pretty freaking cool as well. I got to be just honest. I thought you were the biggest cheese ball I'd ever met when I first met you, because I didn't think you were, there's nobody that's that nice of a guy. And as far as, you know, the older you get, you want to choke that dog or what?
Yeah. Jeez Louise. Maggie, hush.
In saying this in sincerity, man, like being a nice guy, a good husband, and a great dad, that's cooler than, you know, anything that I can think of. So pretty proud of you, buddy. The whole NFR thing was really awesome. And, you know, it's pretty great that you can share victories with. So that's something that, you know, as far as cool, I've never been a cool guy. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just great to have people that are like-minded as far as raising their kids right and just kicking ass all the time.
Well, I appreciate that. The one thing.
Wait, one more. I got it. And you were on Jeopardy?
Wheel of Fortune. I'm not smart enough.
Wheel of Fortune.
No.
Wheel of Fortune.
The one thing that I will say, so the tuxedo thing, I thought of, I can take credit for that one. The Rolex thing, that was my grandfather's Rolex. He gave it to me before he passed away. He always said, you know, if you keep messing with that rope, because I always had a rope in my hands growing up. He said, if you keep messing with that rope, you're going to be on TV one day. He was still around when I first started doing Rodeo Houston. He gave me a golden peanut necklace because my family farms peanuts, and he gave me that watch before he passed away. So that was kind of my way of paying homage to him because, you know, obviously my parents have always believed in me and been very supportive, but my grandpa wasn't around to see that. So that was kind of my way of paying homage to him, because at a young age, when you have people believe in you, I think it sparks a fire and keeps it burning for years and years after that. And I know he was looking down and watching. So that was just my way of kind of paying tribute to him. So I was pretty proud to be able to do that for him.
We want to thank Allen Rheinheimer for visiting us on NFR Extra.
Want to experience more of NFR? Then visit NFRexperience.com. And we invite you to subscribe to NFR Extra on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you're listening right now. If you like what you've heard on NFR Extra, we would love it if you gave us a big 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe.
NFR Extra.
All dirt.
All rodeo.
All year.
Make it out to Vegas, where the big boys roam, with the rovers and the racers and the bulls and the broncs, and the ladies in the skin-tight Wranglers and the cowboy hats. And it don't get no